So, to focus on picking, the most important thing to start out with is how you hold your pick, because however you hold your pick, you know, is going to dictate your control, is going to dictate how, you know, hard the pick is on the strings, how light it is. So, the easiest way I've learned to hold the pick is you take your thumb and you put it here on the back, and then kind of like that. So, thumb on the back, and then you just grab it with this part of your thumb, and that's how you hold a pick. And you can adjust it to, you know, however is most comfortable, but this gives you the most control because it's kind of like, you know, it's an extension of your hand. You can do whatever you want with these 3 fingers. And the way to strum, of course we've been working on the just bass strum, but the way that you're thinking about it, all of the control, there's no arm, you know, you don't want to move the arm. If you set your arm here, your arm should stay like this. All of the control is in the wrist when you're doing it like this, and you're kind of thinking about turning a key. I mean, obviously not like that, but like you're turning your wrist. So is one way. It practicing strumming like this. So you're starting with the bass note of the chord, and the easiest way to think about that is your arm is your hand is constantly doing this, up and down, even when you're not playing. So if you're constantly kind of thinking that your hand should be going like this and keeping it in that motion, even when you're not touching the strings, it'll let you know where you need to be. Whether, you know, people talk about strum patterns, you don't really need to think about strum patterns if you keep this motion in your head. So even if I'm not playing, that's in 3/4, of course, but you see my hand automatically goes up so that the next strum is down. That's something that if you work on that, picking will get easier, and then you'll be able to, and that of course, up and down motion is what makes it easier to play like. And that kind of helps, you know, of course, when you're learning it, there's an instinct to do all down strums, but it's, if you're keeping in mind this pattern, or, you know, but practicing this kind of, and that's where the strum pattern, the kind of a more country thing. But if you work on holding your pick, the pick hold, figuring out what's more comfortable, I tend to mostly just hold, you know, my thumb is across all the top, but I'm mostly holding this corner closest to like the end of the guitar. Holding it like that gives you more control, and it's not like this kind of wrist. You're turning your wrist as well. So this is the kind of that kind of thing. So if you work on that, holding that and thinking of this motion constantly, no matter what, your instinct should be down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, no matter what you're playing, and then it'll be easier to determine up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. But you're only playing the down. But if in the back of your mind you're thinking your hand should always be doing this, then it'll be easier to kind of pick out strumming patterns and picking. So if you work on pick, and then next time we can work more detailed, so that you're not relying on where your fingers are, which I still think is really cool and I don't totally understand. But then we can work on cross picking, and playing with fingers is fine. Of course, like there's no right or wrong way to play guitar, in all honesty, but it's a lot easier to do like, you know, hammer-ons and rub-offs and stuff like that. Just the pick gives you more power. And if you want to get technical about it, which, like, you know, to each their own, there's no right pick, wrong pick. I use prime tone sculpted plectra. It's like simulated tortoise shell. It's obviously not real. It's a plastic kind of thing, but it doesn't bend a lot. So light picks don't really give you a lot of control. You want kind of a heavier pick. These are hot rods. If you, a lot of it is off because I've been using it, so it's like rubbed off. But a thicker pick and working on that, working on how you hold it. This is the most important thing. Even if you don't rely on the down up, down up, down up, because some people do, some people don't. As long as you have a good grip on it, because a lot of people, you know, there are some sloppy ways to hold a pick, but this gives you the most control because it's, you know, the end of the pick is parallel with your hand. It's right with the guitar. Parallel was not the right word, but you know what I mean. And then that way, and I always tend to kind of hold with these fingers. So this just gives you a lot of control. And remember, there's nothing here that's moving. It's all here and all here. So if you work on that, you should be good. I preach this religiously though. So again, put your thumb there and there, and just work on pick technique.